I had two boys that both played for Coach Romberg, and then a daughter that was a cheerleader. Both the boys were captain of the football team and the lacrosse team. So I know Coach Romberg pretty well, but the story Matt's alluding to was when Coach Romberg first took over in the early 90s, can't remember exactly when, he brought a rule with him about no drinking on the team, and everybody signed a pledge. Now, my guys were only in the 6th grade or something back then, but it was either the first or the second year, a couple of guys got caught drinking. And so Coach Romberg called the whole team into the room down there at the gym and said, okay, this is like an honesty test here. I want to know who's broken the pledge since the beginning of the season. This was like only a game or two into the season. And I mean, half the hands in the room went up. And Coach Romberg said, okay, you're off the team.
Oh.
And these parents are just like, the Euro parents down there in New Orleans, they went, they went crazy. They wanted his head. And Bill Clarkson was the president of the school, but he was only, I think he'd only been there a year or two also. And the parents are all going to him saying, we want Romberg out of there. And he suffered through, I think he only won one game that year. But he stuck to it, and by God, for 33 years, the team was aware of that rule and what happened the first year. And I was telling Matt, about halfway through his tenure, he kind of gave up on the coaches trying to enforce it and let the seniors enforce it. And so, there'd be something going on, some nonsense. Coach Romberg go to the seniors, say, you guys take care of it. And because there were numerous times when my older boy was out there on Saturday, with the perpetrators running gassers. And then 2 years later, when my younger son came.
They didn't kick them off the team anymore, did they?
No, they were kind of handling it internally.
Okay, good.
And I don't know, I never asked Coach Romberg about it.
I wonder if that would have worked when you guys were seniors.
Well, the captains used to run with the perpetrators, but 2 years later, when my son and Gordon Beckham and these guys were on the team, they said, screw that, we're going to sit in the stands and watch, and you perpetrators are going to be running these gassers out there. So but it was interesting how even 33 years later, it was like, man, you don't do that. You're not getting away with that, Coach Romberg. And I'll say this, Coach Romberg and Coach Sousa were fantastic coaches and role models for all the boys out there. They were just, I don't have anything bad to say about them. Everything's good.
Bruce, more about you. More about you. Tell us about you.
It's about me?
Yeah, you're interesting.
Well, I showed up in the 8th grade, from Richmond, Virginia, and played for Coach, like we all did. I think we all did. A lot of us showed up in the 8th grade. But I'm a real estate guy, still teach up at Kennesaw State, been doing that for 32 years. I'm a part-time.
Where'd you go to college?
Vanderbilt, played lacrosse all 4 years up there. A lot of us, did different things, rugby or whatever. Jeff's a big football player over here. He's a Georgia Bulldog. But I got a wife, 3 kids. We live right next to the Lovett football team. We downsized a field. If you walk up the stream, up the river, about 100 yards, we're at one of those condos right there on the right. So I can hear the sirens going off when the thunder's coming in and all that stuff over there. That's about it.
You finished?
I'm finished.
Give it up for Bruce. Bernard Wade, tell us about, we're going to go this way. He'll come.
Oh, okay.
I keep forgetting what I'm going to say anyway.
Go ahead. Bernard, tell us about yourself.
Okay, started in the 8th grade, Coach Flowers.
Yeah.
My dad told me I couldn't play, so I went out.
Bernard, closer.
Oh, sorry.
Your dad?
Yeah, he said, you can't, I never played football. In the locker room, I had to watch everybody to see where all the pads went. That's how bad it was. So, anyway.
You came in
But don't forget the part with his dad. Every time Gennard would drop a pass, his dad
You're
would
still on my thunder, but go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. That's high.
Yeah, if your receivers ever have a bad night, my dad used to come behind the bench with carrot juice. So every time I dropped the pass, he, come here, boy.
Your eyesight.
Gennard, close to your mouth.
I thought I talked loud. That's what you told me.
No. I need to put the recording.
Y'all told me I was a legend in my own mind. You told me all that stuff. But anyway, played, what did I play? Split in and defensive back. And we had a great football team in 8th grade. I don't think we lost any games.
Not in 8th grade.
And our coach then said, if y'all don't win the state championship when you're seniors, I'll come back and kick your butt. Remember he said that?
Yeah.
So that's where we got started. And
Where'd you go to college?
where did I go? I went to Morehouse College here in Atlanta, majored in piano and organ. And after I did my recital, my teacher suggested that I do something else for a living. So I went into insurance. I was with New York Life and MetLife and New England Life. I had a band. You ever heard of Earth, Wind & Fire?
Yes.
Yeah, I never played for them. But
Jannard, one thing I remember about you is you were the first, at our reunion 5 years in, you were the first one.
Bruce, put it on pause. What's incoming food for us, Greg?
Salad has our house-made white balsamic oregano vinaigrette, heirloom tomatoes, local greens.
Thank you. Back to you, Bruce. You have
5
the floor.
years after we graduated, Jannard was the first guy to drive up with a Mercedes.
Big life insurance.
The big life insurance guy.
they said, let him in first. He has to turn the car back in. So. Yeah. So, but it was great. Everybody's been wonderful. We've stayed in touch thanks to this guy here. I'm sorry I didn't respond. My VCR was still blinking, so I'm working on technology.
And 2 girls?
2 girls. One just graduated from Howard a couple of years ago. She's still up in D.C.
Howard Law.
Howard Law, yeah.
Oh, good.
And Brittany went to Westminster. She's has a tutoring business, so I'm blessed.
Yeah, you are. Very good.
Finished?
Yes.
Jeff Lewis, tell us about yourself.
I'm Jeff Lewis,
Or?
and I was a lineman always, except briefly junior year at Westminster. They put me at tight end. And I ran down, I got open, this guy threw me a pass. And I dropped it. Put him back at tackle. So I did play college. I played linebacker at Georgia, and we won the conference championship my junior year. Very proud of that. We played Pittsburgh for the national championship in the Sugar Bowl, but we did not win that game. In fact, we didn't even come close to winning that game. I've been a lawyer now since 1982. I'm also a professional actor. Getting back into that profession now that my law career is on the downhill slide. And if you and your wife really have nothing to do on a Friday evening coming up, come out to the Old Vinings Inn. I do a show there from 7:30 to 9:30.
I didn't know that.
Anything else, Matt?
More.
My favorite. You said favorite memory from your senior year was our charge before we got the coach. I'm going to do that anyway.
Sure, go ahead.
Not sports. My favorite memory from my senior year was Guys and Dolls, which was the Broadway musical we did in December of that senior year, and I got to play Sky Masterson, and that was the most fun I had senior year at Westminster.
That's great, Jeff.
We didn't win the
Well, after
football state
losing to
championship.
Savannah Country Day.
Hit him. Put a sock
Jeff
in
was
his
1
mouth.
year
Okay.
behind.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Matt.
Now,
Let me introduce you to Jimmy Presley.
yeah, before Jim, you get the eating protocol. Go ahead and serve yourself. It's all family style, Italian family style. All you can eat. So go ahead and serve yourself and eat while someone's talking. So go ahead and serve. Jimmy Presley, who was our quarterback, you have the floor. Tell us about yourself and use the microphone. Thank you.
There you go, Bruce.
Okay,
Yep.
I'm Jimmy Presley, and I came to Westminster in 9th grade. So I was a little later getting there than most people. And I had never played quarterback before in my life.
Really?
Well, I had one spring football at Campbell High School, and that was my only experience. But I was determined to do it for some reason. And
Well, your dad was head
our
coach.
our ninth grade team was also undefeated.
Yeah.
It was awesome, and so we just had a great bunch of guys. I met my wife at Westminster, which is a blessing, and we're still married, believe it or not. I'm nearing 50 years.
Wow.
Congratulations. And, you know, couldn't be happier. I have two children, they're both 45 years old, 44 and 45, 46 years old, which is, you know, hard to believe.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Doing well. And I just wanted to say one more thing about Coach Romberg. I never knew him well, but my nephew-in-law married my niece. He was the coach at Buford High School here in Atlanta and won like 10 state championships. And really they have a fabulous program out there at Buford. And Jess was number 2 in the line out there. They kept the tradition going. But I got to talking to him one time after they had played both Lovett and Westminster in the same year. And he could not have been, he couldn't have talked about Coach Romberg in any better, you know, way. And he compared him. I mean, this is just for this room, but he went as far as to compare the experience of playing at Westminster versus playing at Lovett. And he literally said, playing at Lovett was like the worst experience they had all year, and playing at Westminster with Coach Romberg was the best experience.
Wow, that's amazing.
I thought that was an incredible thing.
Jimmy, tell more about yourself. Where you went to college and you played football and rugby. Tell us more.
Yeah, I went to Harvard and I played football for 2 years, and then I switched to rugby, and it was a great experience. I just we had a head coach there that came from the Canadian Football League, and he made know that there's no motion penalties in Canadian football. So you can be running full speed toward the line of scrimmage when the ball snapped. And it's a wide open game. And our offense at Harvard, you could run any play from any formation.
Wow.
It was really, I mean, there were, you know, 20 guys that showed up freshman year wanting to play quarterback, and about 3 weeks into the season, there were like 4 of us left.
Well, at Harvard, you had more than one formation.
Believe it or not, we had any formation you can imagine, and with motion, we could run any play. I mean, it's not exactly true, but it's pretty much true. Joe Restic was the guy's name. He was these offensive geniuses, and it took a lot of time. So anyway, that was fun though. Really enjoyed it. And then working, I was a very lucky guy to work. I ran family businesses my whole career after starting for 4 years at the Trust Company Bank. And you know, everything went very well, so it was fun. I've often described running a business, small business especially, I think, as one of the most dynamic things you could possibly do. Because you pretty much have to know everything that's going on every day, every minute. But it was fun. That's about all. I love my experience at Westminster, though. You're going to love it too. It's just a fabulous place, and we're lucky to have it around here.
Wasn't your dad a coach?
My dad coached for 10 years at Marietta High School.
Right.
He was a legend.
But he,
Red, right?
Red Presley.
but he retired the year I was born, so I never knew him. I never knew him as a coach, you know.
That's interesting.
Yeah, he was track coach at football.
Now, let me ask you this. This is germane. You can ask germane questions. You're not allowed to hijack the conversation. This is a germane question.
Only Matt can
Nice
hijack. Would you like the microphone?
Seriously.
Oh, no. Jeff, will that sound down?
Okay, listen up, Jimmy. Now, it's hard to believe that you had not played quarterback, because most every boy who has a father as a head coach is always the quarterback, Charlie Brake and others, because they go, you had not played quarterback until you came to Westminster? Is that true?
Well, I told you I did one spring practice at
Really?
Campbell High School.
Well, what position did you play? You're actually big enough to be a lineman, actually.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Wow, that's interesting. Okay, back to you.
Demoted to quarterback. That's why I wanted to play quarterback so much.
Back to you, Jimmy.
Well, can I say?
Well, when you finish, you say I'm
You
finished.
grew up here in Marietta, right?
I grew up in Smyrna.
Smyrna, okay.
And we live right down the street in my wife's grandmother's old house.
It's a beautiful
built in
home.
1896.
Lovely.
So I've learned a lot about old houses. And there's always stuff to learn. They're always falling apart, but they're nice. Our walls are so thick I can't use Wi-Fi
Oh,
in
wow.
any room except for where the router is.
Really? Wow. Oh, my God.
And it shakes every time the train goes by, which happens 42 times a day.
That's right.
So, you know, there are good things and bad things about living in an old neighborhood like this.
Beautiful.
But by and large, it's been fun.
Give it up to him. Bruce Durkee, tell us about yourself.
Bruce Durkee. I played defensive end, and I was known as a mad stork. I really enjoyed my years at playing football at Westminster. I came to Westminster from the Buckhead Red Devils program with Jeff Lewis and
Texas
L.
Ben Christian.
Ben Christian, yeah.
And
We won
Bob
the
Jameson.
national championship.
Scott Ridge.
Yeah.
They were all right then.
Bruce, a little close to your
Yeah.
mouth. Bruce, close to your mouth. Microphone.
So anyway, I had a great experience in football before Westminster and at Westminster.
College.
Also, I ran track, 440 and 220, and also played soccer in the winter. We played soccer in the winter back then. So anyway, I went on to the University of Virginia, where I stopped playing sports and started some drinking sports. Had some good times there, and moved back to Atlanta after college.
Bruce, put it on pause. What do you got incoming for us, Greg?
Pizza.
Looks
Pizza.
like
Margarita
Pizza.
pizza.
Yes, it's our margarita pizza.
I think we can do some damage.
Okay, back to you, Bruce. You
Freshly
got the
in
floor.
from Little Caesars, I'm kidding.
I went to work
Real
out
life.
after college at a bank in Atlanta, and ended up going to the investment banking business in Richmond, Virginia for 16 years. And my story on
Bruce, you're a soft talker. Closer to your mouth, man. I can't hear you.
my story on it actually didn't occur at Westminster. It occurred 20 years later when I hadn't been to Westminster in a long time, having lived in Richmond and working up there. And we moved back to take a job at Robinson Humphrey. And I went to the alumni chicken dinner.
Still have a dozen.
And I figured nobody would know who I am, or nobody would know anything about our football team. And I walked in, and everybody said, "God, that's Durkee. He was a member of the team." And ever since then, I said, "Okay, I'm way back home."
Yeah.
The team.
And you put on your letter jacket when you come to those alumni events.
Yeah, I do.
You and I do.
So I can still fit in it.
Yep.
So anyway, that's.
Does anybody
He's got 3 beautiful daughters
Yes.
and a bunch of grandkids, but his son also played for Coach Romberg.
That's right.
And Coach Sousa. Was a
Yeah.
damn good lacrosse player and a football player.
Yeah.
Foster
exactly.
is his name.
Yeah, my son had a great experience at Westminster as I did, so I was fortunate to that. So,
How many of you know where the name is, stored? What was it?
The man
Ted
historic. Ted Hendricks, yeah.
Everybody remembers that. That's pretty good.
Baltimore Colts.
Bruce,
Lenny?
you finished?
Oh,
yeah, I'm finished.
Give it up for Bruce. We're gonna go, this is our star here today. We're going to let you go. Tell us about yourself. We want to get to know you on a deeper level. So tell us where you grew up and also about you, so we'll
Sure.
remember you and your football experience.
Well, first, I'm not just saying, I really, really do appreciate you all inviting me in. I think that for myself, is advice that I got years ago, believe it or not, went to Manning Passing Academy and Sean Payton. said, if give advice to any coach, first thing you need to do is learn about the history of where you're going. And that's really, for me, incredibly important, embracing all the traditions. And you see a lot of coaches come in and the first thing they want to do is, tear down the walls. They don't even know what's behind it, change uniforms, and that just is not in my DNA. So it really, really did mean a lot. I was actually talking to my wife on the way in about it. I let our athletic director know at Westminster. You also, thank you. I guess going through it, I guess I was a rarity. I grew up in New Orleans. Went to Newman School all the way through. I was on the last team. We had a legendary coach, Tony Reginelli. A lot like Coach Romberg. I've been head coach 26 years. His last year was Peyton Manning's senior year, but I actually started as a ball boy, water boy when I was 4th grade. I just loved football, and my stepbrother actually kind of got me an appointment. I went in and said, I really like to do this, and played middle school football at Newman. Obviously went all the way through, just fell in love with the game. I'm pretty self-deprecating. You hear so much about the Mannings, and I can do Peyton, and if you want to get upset, tell him that I was a quarterback. I was not. I was a lineman. I was a defensive end, defensive tackle. Again, I played under Coach Reginelli, and I guess we really it was a neat time to play. It was kind of a resurgence. We were really good in the 70s. Never won it, but in 72, Newman in 77. I believe 74 got to the semifinals, but a lot of teams never were able to get what you all had. It was just really, I think there's no state championship like the first state championship. There's only one first, and so I was able to do that. Graduated in '95. A lot of great players. I was recruited by Buddy Tevens, really influential in my career. He was head coach at Dartmouth. But he was at Tulane at the time, so preferred walk-on. Was not, I guess all state, things like that, but most of my work was just in the weight room, and I was not near caliber going to paper like George like that, but had some great...
Coach, put it on pause. Sure. What we got? Incoming food.
Columbia River King's salmon, Vidalia onions, local Georgia blueberries, goat cheese with spaghetti.
Excellent.
Oh, and black garlic.
Yeah.
Thank you. Back to you, Coach. You have the floor.
Oh, okay.
Hold the microphone up close.
Oh, sure. And if I can be, if I'm long-winded, you guys can come in at that point. But I again graduated from Newman, played 4 years at Tulane, 2 years under Coach Stevens. I was able to get a scholarship at the last two, but Coach Bowden came in and said, "You better graduate in 4 years. You're not going to get fit." But I was really, he did a great job. Rich Rodriguez, who's now the head coach at West Virginia, was at Michigan, was offensive coordinator, really helped shape my philosophy from an offensive standpoint. And, again, played there 4 years, got a letters a senior year, but it was, we were able to go undefeated, go to Liberty Bowl. And I took a quick trip to Jesuit, actually, as an offensive line coach for a year, and then my offensive line coach was Newman. Retired, become the principal, and my head coach my senior year, a guy named Frank Jandusa, brought me back, and I could go on and on, but basically I was at Newman 26 years.
Wow.
I was head coach 19. They named me head coach the year after Hurricane Katrina. I was 28 years old and thought I probably knew everything. I didn't know a lot, but it was really neat to really shape, me from a philosophical standpoint. Is thank you so much. All of my coaches became my assistants, and one thing my father always said, he formed his own construction company, is nobody works for you, they work with you. So I learned humility, I think, at a young age. And, at Newman, I was someone that I always believed you never have a resume. If you're where you are, you work as hard as possible. Took it, I guess good for you all to know, after Katrina, we had 39 kids. New Orleans was a lot different. So we had a previous roster of, I think, 70, maybe high 60s. So I kind of had to start over. We were able to win 8 games. And by the end, in 19 years, we got to I was actually at a little middle school camps that area. We went to semi 6 times, went to the quarterfinals 6 times, developed a pretty consistent culture, felt like, and some great assistants. After this past season, I mean, everybody, I saw it the other day in the Atlanta Journal, you hear about the Mannings, and look, they've been very influential on me, but this last 2 years, actually, our quarterback, funny story, tells you a little more. In high school, I dated a girl that I was sure, like everybody else, I was going to marry her, and it was we were excited, and she actually is from a faith standpoint. I was Catholic and she was Jewish. I said it's not going to matter, we're going to go. And so she went, and we were recording it. I'm probably going to show up somewhere. So she went to Indiana, went to Tulane, and my good friend was a linebacker at Kings Point, New York, and he called me during Thanksgiving break, and he said, I talked to a guy that's in my on the football team with me, and boy, his friend seems like he's dating a girl that sounds a lot like the girl that you're dating. I said, oh, there's no chance, no, that never happened. But he's like, Nels, how many redheaded, girls from New Orleans that are at the University of Indiana went to Newman. So Christmas came around, and as happened, she come in. I was so excited to see her. And in our little room, we go in. There used to be a picture of she and I, and all of a sudden I looked, and there's this other guy. And I said, who's this? She said, oh, don't worry, it's not a big deal. Well, it turns out his name was Asher Friend. Well, my quarterback that has 2 years was named Eli Friend. It was their son.
They got married.
They got married, and she also is the school nurse. So it's a neat story in that we actually became, we're incredibly close, very good friends. And I always felt like if your high school girlfriend married a guy and trusts you to teach her son, you're doing okay. So again, short story long, the past 2 years he took over for Arch, and he just had a phenomenal career. He was All-State, did all kinds of things. He's now going to Princeton to play quarterback. We had another player, we were undefeated last year, had put a lot into it, and a couple injuries hit, we lost, and it was Christmas day after, and I was sitting with my mother-in-law. I said, something just feels different. I feel like I've been it, but done this and never ever. I don't know if I want to go. I don't know, but I'm not going to look. So last day before Christmas break, I went into my office and I co-advised. You have a homeroom, and I co-advised with the head of advancement. And I got a little email, and I said, I got this email about this school, Westminster, and she's like, close the door. And you have no idea what that school is. I was like, no, I really don't. She goes, well, I need you to at least take the phone call. And Shannon Soares, who's the athletic director, came on. And, the first thing is when, coaches there 33 years with that standard of excellence. And I knew there were 3 state championships. This wasn't something that, you had to go in and rebuild or anything. It had that amazing tradition. And I started talking to people. Everyone's like, you don't understand really what this is. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And so I just reached out. We had a Zoom, and on New Year's Day, I looked at my wife. I was like, I'm just going to drive up. So I drove up on my own dime, and you can't unsee Westminster. I went in there, and it was very low-key that, being kind of a national search, they didn't want to, upset anyone. And so it was quick. And she said, we'd like you to fly up with your wife. And so what was really neat about Westminster, it's good for you all to know, is that they said, now, if we're going to fly you up, you have to go and meet with your headmaster and go through this. Absolutely. So had the conversation. It was all done in a way, and he took a deep breath when he said it. He goes, okay. He said, you don't know. And so I took her, we went up, and Shannon Soares and Matt Hixenbaum, who's a wonderful basketball coach, we went out to dinner, and it was within 5 minutes, she turned and looked at me, and she's like, oh, this is, we've got to do this. And I was like, yeah, we didn't see anything. So Sunday morning we went in, and Keith Evans, a phenomenal headmaster, and Shannon met us toward his camp around campus, and it was just done with such a level of trust and just so honorable. I'm not, it's not usually the way it is, where everything was done so above ground. And they came back and they offered it. And for me, she was funny. It was a Sunday at Houston's, and she said, okay, well, you said, are you interested? And I was, because I didn't have a resume or anything, I said, yeah, I think so. And she goes, all right, well, I'll call you at the end of the week and let you know. And so, it was kind of like Westminster going back. It was, you go on a date and you wake up the next day and that's how I felt. I said, every little nuance of every part of Westminster. And so the next day I get a phone call, and she goes, I'm going to call you at 4 o'clock with an offer. I was like, oh boy, I didn't know that was coming. And so it just, they came with a wonderful offer, and I accepted it. And they, going up my first team meeting in January, I remember walking in, and I was like, what am I even going to say? But all I can tell you is every single step of the way has been reaffirming. I haven't flinched. I haven't thought about it. I actually saw the preview for Newman School, and a lot of times you think was where I was, you would get that and think a certain way. I let it go. It was a neat deal. They actually hired an individual that I'd known for years, and it was his dream job, and I recommended him. And the AD, who's not quite Shannon.
Coach, put it on pause. What do you got incoming for us?
Seared tuna,
Ooh.
excuse me, grilled, I'm sorry, with local summer squash, and sweet Georgia onions.
Excellent.
These are not Vidalias. They are the Vidalia onion. They're just not from Vidalia, so I can't call them Vidalias.
Looks delicious.
And it's finished with a little bit of a red pepper vinaigrette.
Back to you, Coach. You have the floor.
Oh, no. Well, basically, I think the biggest thing is since I came in, I went, Shannon, it's important for you all to know, as Westminster said, I wanted to stay and honor my contract. A lot of people leave. That was why I said at Newman, it's kind of an epidemic where I guess it's a lot of young people, they're able to just jump and leave. So I think it was one of those things where Shannon thought that was a pretty neat deal. So, as I said, the AD called Shannon. They actually, after a $30,000 search firm, they ended up hiring the guy that I recommended the day after. So, that's whatever. But, I drove up every 3 or 4 weeks to Westminster, and I would just, Coach Romberg was so nice. That first day we sat and we talked for hours. Just about his path and the integrity and what he had built, and that meant a lot to me because obviously you meet someone from New Orleans, you wouldn't think, you're like, who is this guy? But I got to know the whole staff, and I would just sit on the couch and go all day. And then I wanted to stay and help in spring. Newman, I only had 2 full-time assistants. At Westminster we have, I think, 12. And so it's a lot different. So I didn't want to bring any of my assistants. I had no assistants to bring, so I wanted to help in spring football, so I coached O-line, and I think it was a really good, humbling experience for me to kind of let it go, let the kids know it was going to be okay. I would coach offensive line. We put in their offense, and then I would Zoom Westminster kids after from office, and White, Garfinkel, and Christian Kuziak, the quarterbacks, Benji Berry, we would Zoom after practice, and we had team Zooms on weekends, and it was just, it was like a ping pong ball, but I was able to really focus. And I got through graduation, and the day after graduation, I got in my Jeep and drove up. I've been here ever since. The team, I guess, most importantly, we have a great group of seniors. I think it's, Coach Romberg, like he said when he first talked to me, he said, I didn't build you a schedule for wins. Every night's going to be tough. We were playing 4A. We don't have 4A numbers. One of the things that Shannon said, which I thought was important, was, yes, we won 3 state championships. Everybody loves Westminster football, but it wasn't about wins and losses. We wanted to really rebuild our middle school program at Westminster. So LB Jewell, former player, has actually headed that up. They're going to run the exact same offense and defense as close as we can, same terminology for those kids. We got a great, you met Jake Robertson. It took me forever. I didn't have any assistants to bring. I mean, we interviewed 30, 40 coaches, and we got a great young defensive coordinator. We actually just the other day finished our staff, and you guys actually the first to hear it. Where years ago, there was a young, good coach I thought was similar to me that was working his way up the ranks, and Shannon Stewart, our AD, gave him the resume, and his name was Chad Walker. He was the secondary coach for the Atlanta Falcons when we went to the Super Bowl. He worked with Oklahoma linebackers, Arkansas. 5 years ago, his wife got sick, and he kind of stepped out. He was back in as an AD, and I just called him, and he is probably the most overqualified permanent sub in the country, but he's now Westminster's safeties coach. So those are the level of coaches we're getting. And,
What's his name?
Chad Walker. He's great, and he said from Louisiana. I didn't realize it, but there's a standard at Westminster that I think we want to adhere to, and I feel like it's home. My mom called me last night. She said, well, when are you going to come home in a few weeks? I said, Mom, maybe Christmas. This is home now. And I think it's good for, you all, I guess, in conclusion would be, you hear a lot about the Mannings and a lot of those things, and Coach Odell Beckham, and I never wanted to use that as a vehicle to get an odd job opportunity. This was a once in a lifetime deal. This is kind of it for me. Kirby Smart could call an offer, whatever. I wouldn't go. This is where I want to be. This is where my family would be. I'm completely invested in Westminster and the football program. And there's just, that was the only job I'd left for in the country. And just credit to their administration. I mean, you don't have many headmasters that come in on a Sunday. And they just kind of put their arms around me, and they felt like I could, I think it's important with coaches to say, oh, take us. It's all about, I think, maintaining the standard that's already set. Coach Romberg did it. I'm not interested in changing things. I just want to, do the best we can, grow where we can, just get to know you all, get to know the three, again, there are 3 state championship teams at Newman. They never got one. And I said, hey, maybe now they can. I think it became so, for us, results oriented at the end at Newman. If you didn't want a state championship, is this, man, this is silly. We didn't do that. And here it's nice. It's been done. We had a football camp the other day and Friday, and I need to get footage from you all. We do a state championship day. So we watched the entire state championship on YouTube of 2015. So the kids could see that, and what a,
That was a hell of a
unbelievable.
Wow.
Unbelievable. But I think it's my job to honor everyone that came before. And I mean that. I'm not just saying it. And I told Shannon Soares last night, and if you do anything, you should really meet her. She probably would have been the next athletic director at Georgetown, but she's not interested in what's going on in college. And, everything she does is a certain standard. This is a 7-day-a-week job. I feel like it's as close to college as I want to get, but all I can tell you is they're going to get my heart, soul, everything I have. I don't hunt, fish, golf is what I do. My son's at home. We'll go and throw football on campus. I work out. I guess, you gotta be, I'm not as young as I think I sometimes, but, no, it's an unbelievable place. And I'm just so humbled that you all thought enough to bring me. I don't know if you have any questions or anything, but that's just.
What we're gonna do, once we'll go around, I'm gonna come back to you, open question. Just give it up.
Tommy Borick, tell us about yourself, Tommy Borick.
Okay, I'll stay.
Wait, get the meat going there, y'all. The tuna. Serve some. Jim, take some tuna.
I've had enough, thanks.
Okay, I'm Tom Barwick. Graduated in 72, is it when we graduated? I
Can't remember.
No, I have some early onset. I'll apologize. And Matt got on to me for taking notes, but if I don't, I'll forget everything.
I'm recording the whole thing. You can see it all. You don't need to take notes.
Anyway, so with Westminster, I started in kindergarten and went all the way through senior year. Wow. I had 3 sisters and myself, and my dad was a college football player in '36. He actually, Buck Chapman, who we all remember, Buck and my dad played against each other. My dad was an end at UNC, and Buck Chapman was a running back.
At Georgia.
At Georgia. Wow. And just a lot of good memories about football in general. I gotta do my notes here in a second. So anyway, with football in Westminster, as I was there when Coach Chapman joined the Westminster, he was my real first coach. And he would coach the varsity, then he would come down and he would take the third graders and play football with them. Passing, handoff drills. We didn't do a lot of Oklahoma, but a little bit.
Third grade.
And but just had a great time playing football as a kid. I remember for Christmas one time, my dad bought a pair of high top football cleats for me, and I ignored every other gift, put the high tops on, and went outside. My dad and I played pitch for about 2 hours.
Wow. And
then I would clean off the shoes and put it on the back porch. I complain a lot about Westminster football because Bruce and I were going to quit every day because something that made us bad. It was hard.
That was Kaufman's influence.
Exactly. But I remember, the Oklahoma drills. I really enjoyed those. So I played tackle. Matt was my guard, Clay Rollator was the center, and then Gennard was our wide receiver. And
We were the left side. We were forget about
we
that.
don't
How much
yeah,
exactly?
we don't talk much about the left side.
We don't run
That's
over
next
that.
month.
We ran into the strong side, right, so.
I just remember with Matt, it didn't matter where the play was going, he was hitting the guy in front of him. And sometimes it was like a trap drill. I go, okay, don't hit him, Matt. And Matt hit him. So I went to UNC and actually played lacrosse. I was walking through campus, and first time I'd ever seen lacrosse. So I started watching and got to know some of the players and the head coach, and actually ended up, I probably was the first SEC Southerner to play lacrosse for UNC, but I only played one game because I wasn't a very good catch. I could go right, but you could only go right so many times. See what else?
He was also a track guy when the
I was
state
a
discus,
track-
right?
Yeah.
I ran high hurdles, which you don't see many ends do that. And through discus and shot put, I was going to try to do the decathlon, but I was too scared of pole
Put it
vault.
on pause. What do you got incoming for us now?
You scared of what?
Chocolate chip cookies,
Oh.
milk chocolate, or excuse me, dark chocolate and white chocolate.
Homemade.
Homemade. You've been working on this recipe for
Since
how
I was
long?
9.
Since he was 9 years old.
Really
Yeah,
good.
it's only a couple weeks now.
They only get better every time.
Anybody need anything right now?
And Greg, we want to thank you. Let's give it up for Greg.
Yay.
Now,
Does anybody need more tea or anything?
more food or anything? Anything
More
else?
tea?
No?
Now, let me just say that, I'm gonna say this out front. Joanne and I are paying for everything, but because it's its only table, I would appreciate it if you left a tip. $10 or whatever in addition, you can leave it, give it to him in person, or else leave it at your position so he'll know who gave it. I believe in proper attribution. You need to know where it's coming from. Yes, Greg, would you like to say something?
Yes, I'm gonna bring a couple containers in case anybody wants to bring anything home.
I do.
Excellent.
Thanks, Greg, okay. Okay, back to you, Tommy.
All right, last story is I remember going to, my dad was just a huge football fan. It didn't matter who was playing. He was probably the first guy on his block to have a big screen TV. But I remember as a kid, Georgia Tech and Bobby Dodd was the head coach, and I came home and there was this one catch this guy had made that I thought was phenomenal. I mean, he caught it one-handed and skidded. So that I was practicing that catch until I hit the wall with my head.
Wall.
At a trip to the hospital.
Oh, no.
Well, it was a big dent. So,
The wall.
To the
In your
wall.
head, or-
To the wall in my head.
Did you pass out or
Knocked out?
No.
was there,
No.
was there a lot of blood?
The thing we laugh about is, we drank water out of a bucket and a ladle. When the season was over, we just put the bucket up.
Instead of washing?
There wasn't any washing, and Willie I know Willie came out in the same bucket. Anyway, so I'm just rambling, but that's what we do when we have short-term memory. We just
No,
ramble.
that's good.
Anyway,
Very amusing.
Let's give it up for Tommy.
Tommy, were you in the Westminster Football or Sports Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
Good work, Tommy. Okay, now, Joanne, would you like to say something? Come on.
I went to Kingston High School in Kingston, New York. I was a hippie. I didn't do any form of exercise. As Matt would say, I was on the M&M eating team. But I eventually got religion in my 30s, and
Talk
I
about
worked out.
law school at the Herschel Walker,
Oh yeah, I was working for
women's law school.
when Matt was in law school. We were living in Athens, and I was working for a gentleman who was really good friends with Herschel Walker. It was called Custom Audio, Custom Sound, and he tricked out the car that Herschel had. I guess, what did you think, the
Sound
university? Yeah, the sound system. And I used to answer the phone, and I couldn't have cared less about sports or football, but Herschel called one day, and I was like, it's him, it's him. And I was like, what is wrong with me? We went to every home game, right? And I was like, yay, Herschel. So,
He was a
anyway.
god. He really was a god.
Yeah, and he and his girlfriend, who was his former wife, used to run around the
Cindy.
track. Is that her name?
Cindy Walker, she was on the women's track team.
Oh, okay. And my girlfriend and I, Malcolm Butler's former wife, I don't know if you know
Donna.
Malcolm. Yeah, Donna. Donna and I used to run around and follow them from behind. And so anyway, that's my story, my football story. That.
Herschel paid for the car and the sound system, right?
Yeah, I'm sure.
I was working for a bank when Herschel was about ready to go to college. I was working for a bank when Herschel was about to go to college, and the president of the bank in Wrightsville, Georgia, called me up one day. I was handling correspondent banking relationships in Georgia, and he wanted a Visa card made out to Herschel Walker with a $50,000 limit on it.
Really?
Yeah, and this guy who was president of the bank and also owned the Ford dealership guaranteed it. That's the way
At
things
the
used to be.
University of Georgia, I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
That's right.
Jeff, would you like to follow up with something?
I have a Herschel story. We're talking about great athletes. Unfortunately, Herschel and I were not teammates. But I was in law school when he got up there. I used to go to the Coliseum and work out, and then they had a steam bath in the training room. And you had plexiglass windows that looked out at the training room, and there was one light bulb hanging from the ceiling. Well, on this particular day, the light bulb had burned out. So there's steam in there blowing around, and I realized after a minute that there's somebody standing in the corner of the steam bath. He's got on a sweatshirt in the steam bath. Okay, all right. But also he's got shoulder pads on underneath the sweatshirt. I thought, I had some dumbass teammates. Take your pads off before you go in the steam bath. And then the steam cleared a little bit, and I realized two things. First thing, it was Herschel Walker. Second thing, he wasn't wearing shoulder pads. It was meat. His trap started here, ended way out there. He's a very shy guy, had a lot of heroic kind of stuff. I think he probably wishes he'd avoided politics, but he's still a hero in Athens.
That's right. Yeah, I have one quick one about my dad. When he had his own company for a number of years, and he had a plane because he would travel so much that he actually was asked by, I can't remember the name of the first owner of the Falcons.
Rankin Smith.
Rankin Smith. So Rankin Smith got my dad to fly out to Texas to meet Tommy Nobis.
Oh, yeah.
And give
University of Texas.
University of Texas.
Number one draft choice in
And
1966.
that's how they got it.
Oh, well, thank you. That's fun fact. Okay,
Give it up for Tommy. Okay, I guess I'm going to be the closer, but after I finish, we'll open it up and we'll have freestyle. My name is Matt Flournoy, and I'm born and grew up here in Marietta. And after my 9th grade year, I loved Marietta High School, played football there. They had a great winning football tradition. Your father was a head coach in the 1940s and 50s. And my parents said, Matt, you're going to a school in Atlanta called Westminster. I said, okay, no pushback. Went down there, but I didn't know anybody. And I went to football camp, 10th grade, and I walked in, arrived late because and I walked in there and it was dinner time, and you guys looked at me like I was from outer space, like I was from Mars.
Because he couldn't play on the varsity.
Right.
He transferred.
I had to sit out of here, which,
It's like, what do you do?
but anyway, the two people who were nicest to me, Gary Anderson and Tip Swisher.
The only newbie there, man.
Yeah, you were there too, but you had arrived on time. I was late arrival. I had a very good experience.
Yeah, in Rutledge, yeah.
Yeah.
Hard Labor Creek.
Had a very positive experience at Westminster. I was recruited to play football by Princeton and met with the head coach. I also was recruited by the University of Pennsylvania. They wanted me too. and met the head coach. And, but I went to Princeton, but I did a smart thing, no athletic scholarships. And my father was wealthy, so I was not getting no financial aid, so I didn't have to play football. And went to get my equipment at Princeton, I think Jadwin Gym. And there were 100 guys that were in line to get football equipment. This is a class.
Freshmen, right?
Freshmen only, 100. And the class size was like 1,100, so 1 out of 10 were there. And I looked and I said, if these guys want to play, let them play. I'm at the top of my game. I was at the state championship. I said, yeah, I'll let it go, you know. And I went out for the cheerleading team.
How long was the line for cheerleading?
It was long. Yeah, you had to try out, actually.
Oh, wow.
Most of the girls and boys were gymnasts from the gymnastics team. So, but I made the cheerleading squad. I was a varsity cheerleader for 4 years, and so and went to all the basketball games and football games and had a great time. And the football team sucked. Okay,
1-9.
Yeah, my
Columbia.
sophomore year when Kevin, our team, played, they lost every Ivy League game. They beat Colgate.
Colgate.
They lost to Columbia. They lost to Brown. They lost to Cornell. And the coach got fired. So the coach but I had a very good experience. And then after that, I went to serve in the Navy, an officer in the Navy, on a destroyer, a Spruance class destroyer. Got married to my college, high school, sweetheart, Joanne. We went to, yeah. And we went to Georgia Law School. It had wonderful. Athens is a great place. Oh, it's wonderful. We bought a house in Athens, right off in Prince Avenue, Grady Avenue. It was a 4-bedroom house, and we rented out 2 of the bedrooms to other law students. And she was the house mother and kept it so clean. And
I didn't go into their rooms. I peeked once, and like all the rooms had these huge fireplaces.
Coal burning fireplaces,
and there were just like stacks of cups and dishes that had been sitting there for months, dried food, and I said, I'm not going, and I didn't go into their bathroom either.
But we had a very good experience. I came back, practiced law with my brother and father. My father was appointed to be a judge. My brother was a judge, and we started our own law firm, did personal injury, wrongful death, did real well, made a lot of money. And had no kids, and we did a world of the favor for not having any children. There are enough people out there.
His genes are questionable.
Yeah, my DNA is not that special, so I got nieces and nephews. But practice law. We've retired now. We live in a 4-level townhome with a private elevator within walking distance of here. We can walk up here to Marietta Square, and it's wonderful. And we have. We ate here lunch yesterday. I belong to a group. It used to be called the Redneck Bar Association, but a group of lawyers and judges. It's now called.
I tried to get in there.
We changed the name. I changed the name too. It's called the CAB of Cobb. It's CAB, Consumer Attorneys Bar of Cobb.
And Matt did not like the old name at all.
Yeah, because we're not rednecks anymore. And so we meet in this room. And yesterday we had 11 people here and for lunch, and we had the same format, all you can eat, Italian family style. And we've been meeting in this room for over 8 years. Wow. But the group has been meeting for 45 years. And so now I have Marietta High School next Saturday. Well, I have my Marietta High School friends coming here in this very room. People I went to, and a lot of people in Marietta never thought I left. They thought I graduated from Marietta. And we go to the Marietta High School reunions and the Westminster. I got 2 high schools, so very loyal and love it. And you guys are a very important part of my life. And we have these periods. This is the 3rd one we've had this year, the past year, 3rd football get together. But we have other get togethers. So we threw a birthday for our 70th year. Right here for Westminster, and not football and non-football players. So anyway, and so Matt, I'm finished. Give it up for Matt. Well, now I'm going to open it up. Use the microphone. Bruce, you have the floor. Tell us something.
Well, I got a couple of questions for the coach, and I was going to ask you about the numbers. I mean, you said rebuild the middle school team or the junior high team. And when my kids were there, when they graduated in 03 and 05 and 08. But Romberg had 70, 80 guys out there on the sideline. And then the concussion protocol came around, I can't remember when, like 2014, 15, 16, or something like that. I was coaching the JV lacrosse team with Jerry Wells for about 7 or 8 years, and the rules completely changed. But I also noticed the participation levels dropped. I think because of the moms saying, my little baby here ain't gonna go get a concussion out there. In lacrosse, you used to go around and just light the guys up. They completely took hitting out of the game. You touch a guy above the head, you're in the penalty box or out of the game. But I noticed the numbers on the football team were way down. What's going on? Is that coming back?
Well, first, and to your point about Coach Romberg, I think, as you alluded to, any dip had nothing to do with him.
Right, I know that.
First, I think concussions, it was a big deal. I think coming from where we were at Newman, it's very similar. Donna Hayes has the sports med unit here at Westminster, and we're really trying to do exactly what we've done. I think Coach Romberg did as well, which is, I think we know more about concussions now. It's not something, there's no such thing as a ding or, you say when you get, we just go, we kind of embrace that. I can only speak to things that we're going to try and do. One, our numbers are good. I think we're just under 80 for varsity, so it is good. I think it's been, that's including 9th grade. So our participation, if you go by, we implemented some things with workouts. I think safety is important in summer workouts. So Coach Romberg obviously always embraced the strength conditioning end, and one thing we said was if you didn't get 80% of your lifts, you weren't going to start against Levitt. Well, a year ago, I think, in according to Mark Harrison, they're about 15, 20, maybe a day. We're at 53 right now every day in the weight room, so the numbers have really gone up this summer. And that's the case. Sometimes you come in first time through. I think that that's been really, really good. So I think our numbers are solid. In middle school, they went through a lot of what you hear a lot about, which is numbers were a little down. And so there used to be a 7th and 8th grade. Now they combined it. The goal is to get 2 separate teams. I think our numbers are up. We're bringing summer camps in, much like you alluded to. We had our first one the other day where it ends up being a lot of it just kind of like a preseason for anything else. At least for us, I think it's important those kids learn as much about Westminster offense and defense as they can going into it. We've done, it was actually kind of Coach Romberg's idea. He looked and we showed me, said their helmets are white, and I'm not quite sure why. So we got their uniforms the same. They're going to play on our game field as much as they can. We're actually going to bring our middle school they used to practice, and I'm sure you guys know where the summer camp is. We're going to have them practice down by us on Kent. I think one of the biggest things we did at New Hampshire Sexual was after practice, go high five a kid. If they're coming out to play a game, that's the most impactful thing that you can do. So I think that that's really good. And LB Joel, again, who wrestled at North Carolina, graduated back, I believe, in around 07 from Westminster. That just loves Westminster. 09,
Yeah,
there you go. I'm sorry.
playing.
We go through, he ran the camp with me. He's phenomenal. He's head wrestling coach, and I think he looks as an avenue not just to make Westminster football better, but Westminster wrestling. So I told him he can do that. So I think our numbers are up. But the other thing I would say is we're never going to tackle live. I think that now you have to at some point do it in preseason. I think we took a lot of pride in our defense at Newman, just like when you were at Westminster. Romberg's defense running the football, and I think that's going to stay the same. We're going to run a tackle circuit. I won't bore you with the format, but it's pretty tight.
But you're not tackling live in practice?
Well, you can do a lot now with tackle, I guess donuts going through, vice drills, things like that. I still run a tackle circuit. I do that. You can be creative, and that, once we start doing that, eliminated a lot. You should never get a concussion in practice.
Are the kids wearing those pads on top?
We do, yeah, guardian caps, and that's also good. If you have a two-way player, you can also do skill and differentiate. So, and Coach Romberg was doing that. So they were wearing guardian caps. It seems like concussions aren't as much of an issue. So I just think player safety is first and foremost. 2-a-days, we got to go before school there at wet ball. Back when we played, I'm sure you guys, looked at a wet bulb. You just went out, you didn't get water. Well, now that it's probably safest all the way through September. We're going to go 6:30 to 8 o'clock in the morning. That's what we're going to practice. Now, Coach Romberg did it as well. I think that helps, and then we're going to have meetings in the afternoons. So I think the numbers are up. The goal is to get a 7th and 8th grade, and also Coach Romberg, which a lot of schools did. We used to have dedicated 9th. The numbers were getting a little murky to where they're all one JV now. We're trying to get a 9th grade back. I think I totally understand why he did it. Everyone did it, so that's the goal. So we're just being as creative as possible. So, but I think Coach Romberg did a great job. So as I go through it, nothing disparaging about anything. Just trying to do the best we can do.
Question. Sure.
Coach, is there anything that we can do as Westminster football alumni to legally help you in your job? And I emphasize legally because I don't want to do anything illegal as a lawyer and as a alum.
Well, I think it's a great question. I think that, one thing that was really sold to me was the integrity piece. Recruiting is a relative word. I think everyone knows there's a right way and wrong way. I think the biggest thing that I would say it seems like is that, especially in the middle school level, that kids at least know Westminster's an option. I think we have a great admissions team. I will never, ever walk an application up front. There's something wrong with that, and as you all know, the academic standard at Westminster is not changing. It is what it is, and I think that's an advantage. We can throw more at our kids. We do a lot from a philosophical, offensive ideology, defensive standpoint. Just that, that it's an option. I think regardless of, socioeconomic background, whatnot, it's if it's a fit. And I think that, there's a lot of kids that, I talked with someone at NYO who just asked to go to lunch, learn. We didn't have things like NYO, New Orleans. You just flag football, right? So they have a great park system there. It's just that, there were kids that were applying to love it and Pace, and for a reason, they just weren't considering Westminster. I just think that it's an option, that people know it's an option, that you can go there. We've got a wonderful, diverse team, kids from, all over, but it is harder when you get to high school, right, to get in. It just is a standard. I mean, I was meeting with, again, Luke Smith, one of our defensive ends, dad. I would say his sister actually ran at USC, she went to UVA. He takes 5 AP courses, and these kids are 10 times smarter, I feel like, than I am, and it's a lifelong, look, he could go and play. Brand Morgan, I know they were super excited. He got in UVA the other day. I think he's going to play tight end. Great, legacy Westminster. His dad was a member of the early Romberg team. He told me the story. But, no, I just think that middle schoolers and lower schools know it's an option. That, look, apply and go through it.
What colleges and universities are actively recruiting Westminster football players?
Well, the format was a little different. Previously, Coach Romberg didn't want to have anything to do with recruiting. That was part of his thing. Marty Wild did a great job as you go through. So,
did he do a little?
A little bit, yeah, he did, and and I understand that. And a lot of people said, look, colleges can eval. I would think right now it's a lot of schools like WNL, UVA, most of the Ivy League. It was spring. I would get calls sometimes. I didn't know if they were at Newman or Westminster because I kind of took that over. I do think it's going to increase. One of my best friends in the world is Ole Miss defensive coordinator Pete Golding. He said, I've never seen Westminster. Well, they're going to come see it now. Tulane University a lot. So hopefully we can bring more schools that maybe know the South a little more. So I think most of the Ivy Leagues, majority Division IIIs, Hampton, Sydney, Johnny Jackson's going to play there. A great player. Wash U, Michael Buhe, the quarterback's going to go play there. So I think that a lot of high academic schools, but I'd like to make sure Rhodes, actually Clark Jordan, our great left tackle, he was at Rhodes yesterday, hopefully got an offer. I talked to their head coach going through, but I think a lot of those schools, and I'd like, hopefully, if there was a school in New Orleans, hopefully they'll recruit Westminster now, so hopefully increase it, but it's been pretty good, and I think the majority of our kids that want to play get an opportunity, but I'm very passionate about recruiting. I don't like social media, but Jack DeButts, who, my goodness, if you guys like throwbacks, running back, middle linebacker, he's phenomenal. He is great. He got a Dennison offer the other day. Maybe Ivy's I'm gonna say he's 5'9". He might be 5'9", 200 pounds, but can run forever. He's someone that you're gonna have to really market. You're gonna have to go out and find a niche. But that's just part of the deal when Shannon came in, and I was gonna head recruiting, reach out, be very proactive with kids, putting their information out. And I do think the last thing is that a 3.5 at Westminster is very different at a 3.5 at a lot of other schools. And I think that's my job to let people know, hey, look, you gotta really know what Westminster is. At Newman, that was something I think we did a good job of, was getting those fringe kids into the Ivy Leagues, and hopefully we can do that and expand it. But I think that in the spring, the other thing lastly, hopefully we'll bring spring football back. Coach Romberg, which I understand, they didn't do spring football. My thing is, I think even if you only get 7 days, want kids to be multi-sport athletes, track, lacrosse, baseball, do it. But if we've got kids that are JV and we can get out there with 40 kids, I think we should do it. So hopefully with spring football, they can get more evaluations as coaches come through, better film, because I think there's a gap right now. So I'm excited about spring football. So just, I think there's a lot coming through, but I think my job is to make sure that if there's someone out there, at Manning Camp, that's all people want to talk about is Westminster, and a lot of people, it's a smaller, it's kind of a niche where if you don't know it, you don't know it. So hopefully we can get as many people as possible.
Anybody
I
got
got
any
another
questions?
question.
Go ahead, Bruce.
I got a quick question.
Use the microphone, Bruce.
I've got 3 nephews in Chattanooga, Tennessee, who all went to Macaulay School. And they tell me they come down and really whip everybody's ass in the state of Georgia. And my question, apparently they've smoked Lovett and everybody else. I'm not sure if I haven't checked, but anyway, I guess the question is if in fact they're highly competitive, and I understand that the prep schools in Tennessee are more competitive than in Georgia, do you try to achieve that level of quality that they've got up there?
Well, yes. I think the biggest thing, for us is to try and, again, as I alluded to expand what's already built. I do think playing national games can be helpful. We did that at Newman. The only time Archie Manning ever got upset with me, it was not my schedule to move. Our AD played a school, Berkeley Prep. It's kind of a cautionary tale. Thankfully, Arch had a great 70-yard run, but that was when Georgia came in, and Kirby Smart walked to me before kickoff, a big ESPN game. He's like, Nelson, and he goes, who the hell scheduled this game? I was like, is there like our chances? So then a Notre Dame defensive end, they beat us significantly. Arch still had a few. It's the first time I ever got a midnight text from Archie Manning. He was like, I'd like in the future to not put my grandson in that position. I was like, yes, sir, I didn't do it. But I do think you can play national games, and if they're competitive, I think that's helpful. I think that just like Coach Romberg did, I think one, playing a tough schedule, but 2, if you can play out-of-state teams, it's great. I'm going to try and take Westminster to Louisiana for a week to just kind of do pop-up 7-on-7s in the bayou and the city, just because I have a network to do it. I think one thing that we talk about is, we used to always, I joke, the Westminster logo has changed a bunch. We're now just putting a Wildcat on everything. So my thing is, whether you play baseball, track, whatever it is, you're part of Westminster. So I hate to say the word brand, but I hope so. My goal would be, 10, 15 years, go back through New Orleans Airport, oh, you're Westminster. There's a way to do it, hopefully, and I think that getting middle school, I'm pretty wired, enthusiastic about it. It's all I do. I think that, if we can get, for instance, I think you guys said the Red Devils, little NYO team, if they could come practice when they get in, just see Westminster practice for their all-star games. I think that's beneficial. We're trying to do that just so kids in the community can, but no, without question, I think if you're going to do it, you might as well do it all you can. I mean, I would say, and I say without question, I think Westminster as an institution, you will find a better one in the country. I think I have the best head football coaching job in the country. I really do. And I believe that. And Shannon, at Soares, I got in her coach because I think you have a chance to get offered the best head coaching job in the country. And every day I pinch myself. My brother came from New Orleans the other day and said, this is heaven. So yes, hopefully so.
Bruce had a question.
Oh, sure.
Bruce, use the microphone.
Coach, by the way, though, the school spent a whole bunch of money on that rebranding in the new color, and it didn't go over real well. So that national company they paid all that money to, they could have done better, on the back nine here. I was going to ask you about, do you think they're going to have a prep league in this state? Because I know they redid, A, AA, and AAA, and all those schools the private schools play against each other now for a state championship. They don't play the public schools.
Right.
And so we're 4A. Do you think it's headed that way, or?
Well, I think it's a great question. One thing that you said, I think that Keith Evans and Shannon both felt like the private league by coming together is, and you know that when you all won, it wasn't the case. You played everyone, you did that. It's a little diluted. I would think it sounds like that. I hope not. Louisiana went through a similar thing where, it got so bad some years your first round was a quarterfinals. And I said, there wasn't, and you're playing a number 4 seed. So I think part of playing up, and that was Coach Romberg and Shannon Keith, was to at least play all private public together. Look, there are nights where it's a disadvantage. I hope not, but I think that there's definitely a possibility. But we're trying to avoid that. Typically, when the selects and non-select split, it tends to stick. So I think that's one of those situations where we are trying to avoid it. I've been told that we're going to be 4A. We're going to play up. If it ever gets to where they're back together, great. But I do think that, it's not a good feeling to have an incomplete state championship. Now, I will say, looking at 2015 when Coach Romberg won, it was different. I mean, they're still playing Blessed Trinity in there. They're still doing those things. There was nothing, whatever. But it feels like in a select, non-select, when you split, I hated it. It's a little bit of the haves and the have-nots, and you could do this. Look, we still play Calhoun. They won 3A in public, but I think that's why we're playing up. And as Coach Romberg said, hey, you're gonna every Friday night you're gonna earn it. But we're trying to avoid that. But I think inevitably in Texas it's happened, in Louisiana it's happened. Hopefully Georgia. I do think the level of football at Georgia is as good as you'll find nationally. Maybe next to Texas, maybe. And I think Louisiana's great, but going through, I'm sure you guys have WCAT and all the job they do is unbelievable with every Friday night level. I mean, the football's different. The students actually stream every game on an app, and it's like ESPN. It's unbelievable. But those are things. As I looked, my son, we would stay up every night and watch it. And I'm just like, oh my God, but guess what? They played with them, even playing Cartersville, who, looking at the playoffs, that was Trevor Lawrence's team,
right.
He opened up with. They still played with them for a half. They went all the way through, and inevitably you get out athleted. So we're just going to keep competing. I think Shannon's thing is whatever we do, we're going to earn it, and we're going to try and outwork people in the weight room, do everything with attention to detail practice, get them the best staff possible, and see where we land. So hopefully we'll avoid it.
Anybody have a question for the coach, Jeff?
I just want to say this, you don't need to listen.
No.
One of our defining features of our class was we never lost to Marist.
Right, exactly.
8th grade, 9th grade, all the way through high school. So that's all you got to.
Well, I tell you what, Marist is the one. We are not playing Marist right now, but I do think that it's crazy. Their head coach, Coach Romberg. I mean, it's amazing still over there. So but that's pretty special when you look now and you reflect on that.
Yeah, we beat Marist twice.
Well, I think we played Marist as freshman team. They said 4 years ago. We're not playing Marist. They're still pretty good, but it speaks to you all. And I really do, and I hope you all know how much I love this stuff, and I do hope that you all come back and see us. I really, really mean that. I mean, I'm there all day in Turner. Just come by if you want to meet me.
I was there this morning.
Oh, there you go.
My wife and I were walking the trail.
The trail's amazing.
And you weren't lifting weights?
They didn't lift weights before.
Yeah, that's right. Jeff was the only guy. He was down there. He was pretty loyal in that weight room.
Well, the other thing that was fun, Coach Romberg invited us back.
Give him the microphone.
Coach Romberg invited us down, was it 2015? Was that to on a Wednesday night practice before the state championship game, just to kind of offer some opinions and some advice and some, reflection on our
first state championship. And the most amazing thing to me was walking onto that field and smelling that grass. It just brought back memories like crazy. And it was a really fun thing to do, a great thing he did, I think.
I remember your wife made a speech.
Yeah.
That was a memorable speech.
Adrian and Matt, you give them a microphone, they'll talk.
Well, I think that's one thing Westminster is the.
Pass the microphone.
Oh, sorry.
Pass the microphone.
Nobody has natural grass anymore, and we have a groundskeeper, Jake Mays. I mean, he's unbelievable. I mean, he came up basically in the major leagues, and that was part of the selling point. And that, if you go, we have a softball field, baseball field, it is kept so immaculate. I love at Westminster that you don't step on that field until Friday night. I mean, that's a pretty special thing. It's just, it's almost sacred. And at Newman, we were 100 yards turf and with no shade. It was just you could never get out there. It's just, nobody else has that. And
Did they tell you about when the creek floods?
oh, no, I learned that. It was on my first day. He's like, who drives a white Jeep? And you need to get it out now. So I did, but yeah, no. It's,
They just put a new track in, the rubber membrane or whatever it was, just went down a few weeks back.
yeah, it's great. It's we did 40s with our middle school camp. It's pretty neat too. I like Jordan Snelling's a new track coach. Obviously, unfortunately Gary in the awful passing away suddenly. Jordan came in and he called and he said, do you want to put the 40-yard markers out so football can run 40? I was like, how great is that? You never hear a track coach that would do it, so they went out and did it. It looks great. It's got some bounce to it. Yeah, just brand new track. It's awesome.
If you haven't seen the new stadium, it's
Bruce.
The new stadium is gorgeous. I mean, it's been up for a while. How long has that new scoreboard been up there? I mean, that's
4 years, they said. It's unbelievable.
It's been 4 years.
I think. I don't know.
I mean, it's digital. It's
It's
high
recent.
tech.
I know that. Yeah, it's recent.
I have an offer. It's legal. If ever you want to inspire your current team before a big game, a playoff game or something, and you'd like to invite some old Westminster football state champions to come talk, to inspire them, I'm volunteering our services.
I love it.
That is legal. I don't think
Yes.
there's anything illegal
Man,
about it.
everything is legal now, okay? Any kind of money you want, they're all professional, right?
No NIL money at Westminster. Most people there are wealthy anyway. Well, not as much as they
Is
used to
there
be.
NIL money in high school?
Yes.
I mean, a lot now.
I don't know how
Jeff
much.
probably knows.
Yeah.
That's good cooking. Yes, and it's crazy. I learned a lot about NIL, obviously, with the Parch, and thankfully it didn't. I can give you the example in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Dunham School, one of my good friends, Weiner's coach, his quarterback's the guy. He signed a lucrative NIL deal with, I believe, a car dealership up there, and it's legal. They put it in.
Is he in high school?
He's in high school. He's a junior in high school, and he's got an NIL deal. And that's insane to me, but I guess you look at it and you say,
Legal.
if it's there, and if you're, you don't have, it's kind of like there's no guarantees. And if someone from a certain, if you're from a background where you need that money, it's hard to fault someone. But to me, does it feel right? No. But I do think I think in 5 years you'll see, and it could be the Wild Wild West. I saw one of our opponents, you all would know if I said it, I think it was Pace the other day, they announced, they jumped in and they went to another school, and, which is crazy to me, but you're going to see that. I think that there will be situations where they'll offer money and they can do it. I hate it, but
Arthur Blank
Yeah,
and the Falcons over there.
yeah, I've heard. Their new head coach is a former Falcon. It's crazy. Just hope there's not a coach's fight at the end with Tim Witherspoon. But I think it's coming. I wish it wasn't, but it's. I don't know how you stop it, and hopefully, I think you can just try and contain it. Like I talked about Pete Golding. And I tell you all this, he showed up when he's actually right for Westminster, and he started talking about me in college. He said, I'm not letting you do it. He's like, I'm miserable. And he said, because if you have a backup now in college, And he says, he told me, tell the story, he said, he's telling his dad, you're an SEC caliber starting defensive end, hang in there. He said, well, you better pay me like an SEC caliber DN, like Florida's saying. Like, I don't know how you put the genie back in the bottle, but that's real. And, you know, I don't pretend to know everything with Arch and whatnot, but I can tell you a true story. A good friend of mine was, I think it was South Florida. He called and he said, have you talked? I said, yeah. He said, back up. Well, I can give you 3.5 million reasons why we love to have him. I said, I'm not having this conversation right now. He's 19 and he's just learning to throw a hitch in Texas. But yeah, I think unfortunately he's coming, but I think at Westminster, if there's any school in the country that has the guardrails and the support mechanism to maybe control that, I think it would be us.
When Arch came to the University of Georgia, he was just a senior in high school, I think, but he came to the University of Georgia. They kept showing him on the TV, but the whole stands were going like, Arch Manning, Arch Manning. I thought for sure after that he was coming to Georgia.
Well, it was not, I can tell you, so when all that was going on, it was, it was a tornado in my life. And one thing I said with Arch was, now we're going to talk about, and I don't want to bore you with it, but I mean, if there's somebody, Lane Kiffin, you're driving 50 miles an hour down St. Charles Avenue, and Arch is trying to avoid him because he wants to go to a basketball game, he cuts it off, and all the guy, Nick Saban, they're all going through. I really did think in the end, his top four was Georgia, obviously, and there was really top three Texas, and it was Alabama. And Peyton had come in for a 7-on-7 that night, and Buster Faulkner actually called me. He's like, "Can you help me? What does this look like?" And I said, "I'll be honest, I'm not telling him anything. If I knew Peyton and they were winning and Kirby and defense and this, I thought he was going to Georgia. I really, really did. I felt like that." They recruited him. They did a really good. Todd Monken was awesome. I love Todd Monken. He was the offensive coordinator at the time. Now he's with the Ravens, and he wasn't a big recruiter, but I would have thought that was what he was going to do. But I just think that in the end, I just felt like it was like his own path. Obviously, it was Stetson Bennett, those guys at Georgia. I felt like he could grow it, but no, it was when the Seahawks came and practiced at Newman one time, they would always break. And Pete, I'm just high school coach. Pete Carroll was there, and all of a sudden they started chanting, "We want Arch." I was like, "Oh my God, that was awesome!" But that's how. And imagine being 7. But it was neat. He really wasn't that way. I think I saw him. I'll tell you guys. So we're out in Thibodaux, Louisiana, and Twitter. Peyton always says, "No, Twitter killed me going out." We used to go out and drink beers, and Arch looks at me and goes, "Coach, you going out tonight?" I was like, "I might." He's like, "Should I go out?" I was like, "Arch, I can't tell you that. I can't be your age." He's like, "I want to go out, but somebody's to take a picture." Meaning he's an unassuming. He's the nicest kid. My oldest has special needs, high functioning, with autism, but she goes to a school, and I go quick on the story, but not the same needs as somewhere like Westminster. And I asked the principal, "Is there anything we can do to help?" And she said, "Yes, we have to get these lockers that are donated to our school. We can't afford a big moving team. If your players could help on a Saturday." So Arch went to Texas, and it was 8 o'clock the next morning after weights. I'm like, I don't even know how I'm asking us, but look, I'm driving out to Kenner, which is about 45 minutes away. We're going to move lockers. No AC, it's going to be miserable, but you know what? My daughter, they take care of her during the day, so it'll be a lot. Arch was one of 20 kids that drove out there and moved lockers the day after. And he does the things when you're not watching. And I think that's the thing. And it was crazy. I told you, I'd love to say, Archie Manning was every practice, every day. I was under more scrutiny. LSU's coach made a joke. "You're under more pressure than any coach in the country." He got fired in October. So it was like, it was tough. But that's the kind of kid he is. So I remember Cooper did say the hardest conversation was when he called Kirby Smart. He said that was tough because he had breakfast at his house with the kids, and so I thought he was going to Georgia. It was tight. It was tight. And I think Alabama was right there. That was Pete was really going, but I really did. I just think in the end, Sark every week they just were relentless. So it was close.
I got a quick question.
Sure. Microphone.
Bruce Bryant talked about the drinking, situation at Westminster, and you're coming from New Orleans, which my perspective is the culture down there is different about drinking. I remember you going into some restaurants in
Pat
New
O'Brien.
Orleans, and
Drive-through
the sign
bars.
is, they have a little sign out front, you must be this tall to drink. How are you gonna deal with that?
You just said it. It is, New Orleans is a culture of excess. I'm so excited to be here because it's a great place to visit, right? But it's, when you're in it, I'm used to it. We always say training rules. I think the biggest thing is what's enforceable. I think what Coach Romberg did is the best way. You have to have senior leaders and advocate through. You know the right, wrong. You know what you should be doing. I think that, continuing that, his big thing was family. I think that was all kind of intertwined with it. And my biggest thing is, if you're gonna work out every day, like we're doing little things, Saturday mornings, they didn't come in for whatever reason, well, they're gonna come in now. And I get Georgia football, I get it, the importance of getting there. So hopefully those little measures, so after a game, they'll come at 8 o'clock for a check-in. We're going to do film review. And you really do have to come see the facilities. We got 6 rolling TVs in the locker rooms, beneath, so that we're going to, each kid can, kind of go around and give their position group. So we'll do a recovery lift, recovery workouts, better way to put yoga, things like that, and at least keep the kids' bodies clocked. So hopefully that's going to help. You have to combat it every day, and it can't be something that you talk about in August and forget about in October. Archie Manning gave me that advice. He said, don't be like, there was a coach, Jim Haslett, he said, man, they were always 3-0, and he had these great ideas, and then they're 3-5, and he said, we're going to reinstitute the things that we talked about. You should have been doing that the whole time. So the standard should be the standard, and I think you just have to stay on it. And we have a great strength program at Westminster. They have to get 3 lifts a week or they can't start. Period. So if you're going to sacrifice that, look at the nutrition piece, the hydration piece. It's just an everyday thing, and you have to combat it throughout the season. And that means after your biggest win, your toughest loss, it's those decision makings. But like you said, I think it comes down to the seniors. So I didn't drink in high school. I remember that I found out I was going to be a captain sitting at a party with Peyton Manning and a draft beer, and he was like, you got some good news coming your way. I was like, you serious? Well, nobody else remembered. All those guys, I didn't drink. It was never that important to me. I got to Tulane, I could hold on only so long, because you drink, you have to now.
There's no Baptist in New Orleans.
No, it is, I know that was one of the first things when I came here. I gave up beer I used to be 280, but I still wasn't big enough. But I found out I was able to quit beer, but my wife's always quick say, don't tell people you don't drink. I drink Tito's and vodka. I went to Publix and looked around and like, no, we don't sell liquor at, so I have a remorse going into the Buckhead liquor store and going to try and head down as much as
Hey, Coach!
That's it. It's so obvious. I'm like, it's much easier to put in your cart. But I come from that culture, so we do the best we can.
Anybody have anything? Well, I tell you what,
It's about time to adjourn. So I want to thank you all for coming, and remember.
Thank you, Matt, Joanne, for hosting. Thank you, Matt.
Let me feel the love.
You want a group photo?
Yes, we need to do a group photo.